Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector, and its predecessor are text-based RPGs, like visual novels with more interaction, and similar to Disco Elysium, you use dice to interact with the world. The games are set in the distant future, thousands of years after the peak and collapse of human space colonization, and you play as a sleeper, an artificial being implanted with a human consciousness. I'm going to go through my first hour or two of Citizen Sleeper 2, the opening chapter up until leaving Hexport, the starting space station, and share my thoughts. There will be spoilers, but only up to that point, so if you want to go and play it completely fresh, now is the time. Okay, with that said, let's get into it. I choose the default difficulty and default character and start the game. It opens with evocative language to immerse me in the scene immediately. The first line of dialogue is a nice repetition of the first game. Wake up, sleeper. I open my eyes, and Lane is standing before me. He's dangerous and manipulative. I want to get away, to be free of him. Someone saves me, a friend, but my memory is gone. I don't know him. A little cliché, don't you think? There's no time to worry about that though. Lane will soon be on our tail. We head to the docks and barely escape in our ship. We need a plan. We land in Hexport. Gameplay begins. I can use these dice to try to gather money and supplies. I explore the docks to gather information, but things don't go as smoothly as I would like. I lose some energy and get hungry. At the end of the cycle, I meet up with Seraphin, my friend, at the ship. Lane is looking for me, and a somewhat immersion-breaking timer tells me he will find me in exactly 16 cycles. On top of that, the ship's broken. The reserve tank's fuel lines are ruined, so it's up to me to get some new tubes. I find a guy, Karsten, who offers them to me for 400 credits. Or, if I go and get some data thingy for him, I can do a straight trade. As I leave, a strange girl, Junie, insists on joining me, saying Karsten sent her. I was suspicious. Why didn't he tell me? And, I'm not sure you're coming. So she threatens Karsten's anger. The options are, let's see, and I don't care. Quiz time. What do you think let's see means? Let's get some clear context. The text reads, she pauses, thinking. I mean, Karsten said I need to go. She glances back in the shop's direction. And he does get pretty mad when people don't do what he asks. She shrugs. Okay, let's see means A, let's ask Karsten what he thinks. He's right there. It'll take a minute, max. B, I'm thinking no, but I might check with Karsten later to be sure. C, let's see if he gets mad. I believe what you're saying, but I'm not taking you. Or D, let's see if he gets mad. I don't believe what you're saying, but I'm going to take you anyway. If you answered A or B, like a reasonable person, you'd be wrong. If you took C or D, you'd be wrong, but I'd respect your rebellious nature. In fact, the correct answer was E. I'm not going to check with this apparently easily angered guy, but I trust you now. I'll follow my gut on the day. This kind of ambiguity happens several times throughout the game, and it's really frustrating given the only gameplay is the choices you make. The UI leaves something to be desired too. I didn't know what the stress bar was until I took on a contract. I kept using dice to reduce stress because I was trying to figure out what was changing. There's a flash around the dice, and it says -1 stress. Another thing, it took me a few cycles of nothing changing at the space station before I decided to click on the map, which took me to the expedition screen. Yes, I know because I looked back over my footage, I was told to check the map after I got my first contract. But I don't like reading tutorials. And so much happens between agreeing to the contract from Karsten and being told that I have a contract, I didn't make the connection. There's about 5 minutes of reading between the two events. I'm going to take a moment to talk about where your eye is drawn to in this game. This eye drawing thing is called focus in the design world, and I think it's here where the visual design of the game fails. Whenever you're at a location, your focus is on your dice and on these stations. At this time, the map icon is grayed out. When you're talking to someone, your focus is on the text, obviously, and occasionally you might glance across at the gorgeous character design. Again, the map is grayed out. So far, all is well. The problem occurs when you go to the overview of the space station. At this point, your eyes are drawn to the different locations you can visit. You might check your dice occasionally to see what you've got left, but when you do, are you going to notice or care that the map is suddenly white? Especially when it's this tiny little circle beside these big, bright yellow dice. when you've been conditioned since the start of the game to pay attention to the yellow thing? Everything else flashes yellow when it has some new stuff for you. Why doesn't the map? If when that tutorial box came up there was a big yellow arrow pointing at the map, I would know. It would draw my eye to the map. Instead, I'm distracted by some new flashy yellow things. So I eventually click on the map, and I have 2 contracts available to me. Flashing yellow, but a bit late for that. So I click on one of them, and I can choose who to bring. I take my good friend Seraphine, and Nia, my new crewmate. She seems trustworthy, unlike Junie. And we go on an expedition. Sounds reasonable, you see. Well, I didn't know supplies would be important for the mission until I had departed, and I only had one. Surely you should know you need supplies for an expedition. It tells you in the tutorial before you depart. We already know I don't read tutorials, so I missed an important point. There's an icon in the corner telling you about your supplies. Look, I'm just dumb sometimes, alright? But also, the focus is bad here too. First off, I'm not looking at the left side of the screen, I'm focused on the tutorial. Even if it is just to figure out how to make it go away. Then, when that goes away, there are 2 shiny yellow things. Ooh. When I hover my mouse over one of them, a big text box appears. Again, on the right side of the screen. The fuel box on the left does change yellow and tell me what the journey will cost. I did notice that. Do you know what I didn't notice? This little supplies box beneath it. Better warning would have been nice for my first mission. Like Seraphine saying, we only have 1 supply. You think that'll be enough? I like Seraphine. I listen to Seraphine. I don't like big chunks of tutorial text. This game has enough reading already. At the very least, that supplies box could be read if you only have 1 or 2. Maybe it could flash too. I'd noticed that. Some iconography could have been used when that big tutorial box showed up. It would make things much clearer. And why isn't the iconography used for these 2 boxes? Now I start the mission. The mechanics have changed. Now, when I fail, I don't get hungry, I get stressed. Why is my body's reaction to essentially the same thing completely different? And I get this new ability that I can only use when I'm in the middle of nowhere. Why can't I use it normally? Oh, I remember I had a way to reduce stress on my ship. Okay, cool. It was useless before, but now I see what it's for. What? Why can't I have a nice nap and reduce stress? Is it because time is different here? I can't nap because that takes time, and actually, I'm just on a short, high-intensity mission. That's why I get stressed instead of getting hungry. No time has passed, it makes no sense to get hungry. Alright, cool, let's do this. Thankfully, I managed to pull it together, get back safely, and get a nice little paycheck. Look carefully at my cryo, otherwise you might miss it. I stock up on supplies and start the next expedition to get Karsten's device to trade for the tubes to fix our ship. But Nia isn't an option for this mission. She was so happy a moment ago. She never told me it was just a one-time thing she wanted. I feel so used. So it's either take Junie or no one. Come on, Junie. Suddenly, I realized that all my lovely dice have changed. What a waste. Junie is useless until we get that little doohickey, which she tries to take, the conniving little brat, but she agrees to help get the tubes after I fail to stop her by force. So we get back all ready to enact her plan to steal the tubes. Steal! From what I have seen, it's just a businessman, because some scheming little teenager has overpowered me. But as soon as I land and see Junie off, Lane and his goons are onto me. Time flew by while we were on those expeditions. What? I thought they were short, high-intensity missions. I didn't realize every time I rested it was a whole cycle. Then why are the contract mechanics so different? What's going on? So we try to escape as quickly as possible. No time to fix the engine, no time to do anything, not even get some food. We blast off, hoping our trajectory takes us somewhere safe. Hexport explodes. I lose consciousness and wake up somewhere new. As I try to process all the things that happened, I think about the people who've been lost. Oh, now we care about Karsten. What about Nia and her brother? Even Junie. She was a nice girl, really. We had just landed and took off straight away. Junie isn't with us anymore. She must be dead, the dirty thief. My first couple of hours weren't ideal, so there was a fair amount of criticism in this video, But that was just me being finicky, because despite everything I just said, I love this game so much. The writing is brilliantly inspired and thought-provoking, and the characters are unique, empathetic, and multidimensional. I just want it to be the best it can be. Don't want the rest to drag it down. It's a great game and definitely worth your time. Check out my other video on Citizen Sleeper 2 for my much more positive analysis of the writing in the opening scene. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe and all that. Bye.